Welcome to Takeline Josiah, the viral legend on Twitter.
How y'all doing?
We're good. Okay, so Jason and I were talking about the first week of the NBA season earlier, but let's talk about something just as important. The first official week of NBA Twitter. Listen, I'm a part of WNBA Twitter, so I just want to throw that out there. And you and Jason are already at the top of your game. But who else is out there capturing your attention in the NBA Twitterverse? What's going on out there?
I mean, we got a lot of legends. The NBA Twitter never stops. You already know there's always bags to be gotten. Only lazy people will tell you that they're on vacation or hiatus. We don't get no days off. Jason knows that. We got to get these flares out. Because you might wake up middle of the summer, something just cracking. That's all hands on deck. We got to get these jokes and let them fly. But, in addition to myself, you got people like Shea Serrano, who's a living legend. M-Grads, Trevor Trout, the whole elite crew, bands. Jasmine L. Watkins. I could just really rattle up. LeJethro Jenkins. LeJethro been throwing some haters out. Dragonfly, of course. Dragonfly is like the king of Twitter. It's not even an NBA Twitter thing. He's on the bigger and better bags. The Kid Mero, obviously a Knicks fan, so that's tough. But we got a lot of legends in the mix. A lot of legendary people, and it's great to see the up and comers that are coming out now too, and all the different teams now that have their own little sects of their community of Twitter people now. So it's good to see.
That's crazy.
So obviously you were a basketball player yourself. You played center, power forward for the Bruins. What's it been like to go from a player in that world, in that respect, to a creative and an influencer around sports? And how does your past experience inform what you're doing now?
Well, I would use the term college player very, very loosely. I didn't get a lot of burn. I spent a lot of time with the
put the
jersey
on. You put the jersey on.
But was in that no man's land of, do I even need to shower after the game? I'm going to go ahead and do it just because we're about to hit the club, whatever. I got a little sweat and a little gristle, not enough. But we mastered the art on the bench of, you look like the Monmouth guys and other benches that have become celebrities. We were leading that trend and that curve way ahead of the game. We knew the different camera placements. We knew when the red light was on, that means it was go time. And we had to really, if you look at the timeouts, you might get a glance back and things like that. But just, being in the locker room with, I think I played with something like, 12 to 13 guys that played in the league. Just being with so many dynamic personalities, guys like Earl Watson, Matt Barnes, Jason Capono, Dan Gadzuric, who now is Dan Gadzurich, which we didn't, went to school with Dan for 2 years. He never told any of us. Then he's in the league, and it's like, here's the proper pronunciation. But that's just to show you the kind of guy Dan was. Actually, played with guys like Jordan Farmar and Trevor Ariza as well. Trevor's still getting burned in. Trevor's an old dude, man. I'm looking at Trevor like, you're the last of the Mohicans, bro. You really holding it down for us old heads. But being in those locker rooms, being around those guys, and just, I like to say, when you're in like a place like UCLA, you come into that locker room, you better be ready to get roasted, clowned for all conditions. So you got to have jokes back. You got to be able to hold your own, because guys will eat you alive if you're not prepared mentally.
That's a fact. And so it's so interesting you saying that, because you know how like in sports, you got to be prepared. You got to figure out, a lot of things before the game. Everybody sees the game and that's it, right? But for your tweets, like, I'm into the content world, Jason is too. People really think that you can just rock up and just not have no preparation and just bust out these tweets. Like, what is the process like for you with this? Because I know myself, when I see something crazy happen, like in a game or something, I got to go see what you said. Like, I got to go see your GIF, your tweet about what that moment was. So how do you stay like ready on the second, on the moment?
Well, it's like Sugar Free always say, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. But
okay.
the thing a lot of people don't realize, they think, it's easy, it's this, it's that. And I always tell them, well, shit, if it's so easy, go do it. If what I'm doing is so simple, if what I'm doing isn't that complicated, then how come you need 10, 15 people on your team to even get to a fraction of what I got going on? So for me, it was just coming up in this game, a lot of years in edit base, a lot of years working at companies like NFL Network, Showtime, Fox Sports, and that's what people don't realize. How are you so fast? How are you so quick? When you're doing highlight shows like Game Day, like, with the likes of Rich Eisen, you got to deliver him a shot sheet on the fly for a game that just went to zeros 20 seconds ago. You're sprinting to the printer now, hopping over, ducking and dodging people on the production staff to run and get him this shot sheet right before the highlight airs. You live in a different type of high pressure field environment. So for me, I just kind of thrive and operate in those situations. But I like to laugh at people who kind of try to come at me or are rude about it. Or, you got a lot of trolls out here that think this is just magic and there's no skill involved. And I think it's a very highly skilled, person like Jason. I'm looking at your tweet the other day with the dude from the Side Talk. KD, don't you regret coming to the Knicks? Yeah. Putting those 7 or 8 eyes on Knicks. Yeah. right away is like, that's not something you can teach in a school. That's literally you just going out and knowing right. But as soon as I see that tweet, I'm cracking up hysterically because I know exactly what you're talking about. But you got to be in touch with everything that's going on in pop culture and the NBA culture, just around the world. And everything moves so fast. So you ought to be up to date or you're going to get clowned again. Like, it's like being in the locker room UCLA. Like, if you're not quick on the draw, and the thing about me too, I know a lot of people hate me. A lot of people don't want me to succeed. So I know when I come with stuff, it's got to be hot. Because if it's not, they're gonna let it rip. You're gonna get the quote tweets.
But why do they hate you though? I'm just curious. I don't know nothing about this. So what's the backstory of like? This is a larger concept. Why do people hate a come up? Like, I don't understand why people hate a come up.
Well, I've done a lot of market research and delved deep into the science and the art of it. And really what you got is like 15 to 20-year-olds. And look, I'm 39. I'm happy to be 39. I'm glad I made it this far in life. But my library, my resume, my arsenal is going to be a lot different than them. Like I always say, you'll never really see me tweeting SpongeBob stuff. That just wasn't my lane or era. More power to people that do it. But there's a lot of people out there that see everybody else laugh and see everybody else reacting to it, and they get mad because they don't get the joke. And that's what it really comes down to. It's like a bitterness and an anger and a jealousy. Like, why does everybody else find this so funny and I don't know what it is? It's like, yo, y'all got to get some culture, young bucks. Y'all got to really dip into that stash. Really, get familiar with the John Singletons of the world. Get familiar with the DJ Poohs and the Ice Cubes. And I'm just, but these are people that I came up on that are just second nature for me, that I have a tremendous amount of respect for. So when I'm running a lot of these clips, I'm paying homage. I'm paying homage to Michael K. Williams with anything from Omar and The Wire and just that whole crew.
Crazy.
So, the Isaiah Whitlocks of the world with the shit. Just having a ton of respect for those people and what they've been able to contribute to the game. And I think that's the thing that, anything, Renee, Jason, y'all know, anytime you're successful in life, you're going to get people who aren't happy about that, whatever the reason may be. I seen you really strong arm the dream and get some previous ownership up out of there that wasn't really supportive of everything going on in the world. So you might get some people from that side who aren't feeling the things you're doing. But real ones notice everything that's going on, and we support you wholeheartedly.
I love it here.
Well, it is a terrible time for your enemies, Josiah. Let's make it a little worse. Because people are, obviously listeners are going to be very aware of your sports influencer lane, but they may not know that you are also a TV writer, co-creator of the Comedy Central series Legends of Chamberlain Heights. How did that path open up for you?
Really sucking at basketball opened up a lot of opportunities and lanes for me. So I'm super thankful to Ben Howland and Steve Lavin for not giving me the burn I deserve. A lot of people have their coaches the hater stories, but my coach is a hater story led to successful things. So knew very early on at UCLA, I'm looking at guys like I had 1 year I was like, I'm gonna get some burn. Then Trevor Ariza came in his freshman year, and it's like, all right, yeah, he's league. I'm not. It's pretty much that dream is done. So, but at that point, you just figure out and realize what's the next step going to be. So I was blessed and fortunate to live with a crew of just legends like myself, guys like Quinn Hawking, Ike Williams, who used to sit next to me on the bench. And we were able to translate that. We started a blog called Jersey Chaser early on, putting out a lot of funny off-kilter content. From that, we got the attention of people in the TV industry. And then, did Legends of Chamberlain Heights. That ran for 2 seasons. That got canceled. Kind of had to figure out my next move. Started working at a bunch of different places. Started doing a show called Mostly Football with Martellus Bennett, Ben Lyons, and James Davis. And that crew was over at Attention, which is a social issues themed digital space where I was doing a lot of stuff to just kind of make my heart feel better about the world and working with a lot of talented people, some who are working on this show now. Shout out to Mia, working with the legend Carlton too over at Mostly Football. So as soon as I hopped on the Zoom, I'm like, damn, it's way too many people I know on here. But that just goes to show you that when you're around successful, talented people, those good things are going to happen.
No, that's a fact. And speaking of successful people, like you've been aligning with people like Ava DuVernay. Like, what are we talking about here? And for those that don't know, the style of storytelling in the series is different than what like the narration from Colin was. So I'm referring to the other thing. But I'm just curious, how you have your turn? I run this about all screenwriters. You know how you have to write in somebody else's tone. Your tone is your tone. How do you get to the point where you get that good at writing in someone else's tone or writing someone else's story? Like, I always wonder that.
So first and foremost, just obviously blessed to get the opportunity to work with Ava and Colin on this project. Also, shout out to Michael Starberry, who was a co-creator on Legend of Chamberlain Heights with me, who was a showrunner on Colin in Black and White. This was his first showrunning job. But me and Starberry had talked for a while about the project. He knew just how much of a supporter I was of Kaepernick. I actually, in 2016, at the Comedy Central EMMY party, showed up in a Cap jersey, and I'm a Raiders fan, so you already know it takes a lot for me to get to that level. But showed up in a Cap jersey just to show support to the cause and the movement. So Starberry reached out to me. He's like, y'all want to bring you on to this? I think you'd be good for it. But just sitting in a room with somebody like Colin, hearing him tell stories and just hearing, him dispel all the myths that have been put out there and just the propaganda that's been put out there about him. And now seeing the things that he was standing up for, 5 years ago coming to light. You look at the Capitol insurrection and basically all the stuff that they used to say he was disrespecting veterans, he was disrespecting police. That shit went out the window January 6th when, you lost a fair and square Democratic election and your candidate didn't win. Now you're showing up to the Capitol building with nooses, storming in, running up into people's offices, taking photos, taking poops, all over the facility. But to be able to work with Colin and just kind of hear his story and get into his head. And I think the main thing for all writers I would encourage them to do is you got to really understand who you're working with and understand the level that they demand. Somebody like Ava, I had to learn with the hard way. I turned in some stuff that wasn't to her standard. She let me know about it, and I have a tremendous amount of respect for her.
I love that.
Went back in the lab, put some more stuff together, gave it back to her. Finally got her seal of approval and just got her to understand what she was looking for. But when you look at somebody like Ava, who's done When They See Us, who's done all these amazing projects, Emmy nominated for When They See Us, and now with this Colin project, there's a certain expectation, a certain standard that she has, and I think we're all just super excited for the world to now see. We were in the writers' room for this 2019, 2020. The pandemic hit. They had to work around a lot of different stuff to get this show out there. But now, come October 29th, the world's going to get to really understand Colin Kaepernick's story and see another side of him that I think they're really going to appreciate and really going to respect about him.
I'm fascinated by this. Without spoiling anything, whatever you can tell us, but what did you come away with seeing this project, working up close with Colin? What did you come away with that maybe surprised you, that made you, see this whole period of time in a different way?
I think the thing about Colin, when you look at Colin and, people look at Colin, the adult Colin, the NFL player, and feel like, his peaceful protest, his trying to raise awareness for social injustice, that came out of nowhere. And I think they try to frame it as, oh, you're just mad that, your team wasn't good and you weren't starting and you were just kind of, looking for a way to get attention. I think, looking back at Colin and just his whole high school experience, you're talking about a guy who's an underdog, a guy who gave his heart and soul to be able to be a quarterback. So to understand what he sacrificed and how much he's given up, I think once you understand that in high school, the guy had one scholarship offer that he got as a result of Nevada coaches coming to his basketball game and just seeing how athletic he was. But he didn't have all the pomp and circumstance that a lot of, high school recruits have. So him just, despite the odds, he was adopted by two white parents, a white couple, the Kaepernicks that lived in Wisconsin, and they moved to Turlock, California, where he grew up, and went to Pittman High School. And people think about California, they think, we're a predominantly blue state, but there's definitely pockets of this state that aren't rocking with the blue, that are straight Suwoo, going hard on that red, and going hard on that red. So Colin knowing that, like the Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan lived 5 minutes away from me. I knew exactly where he lived. Wow. And growing up in this area, you weren't really allowed as a black person. Obviously, his athletic exploits put him on another plateau and kind of shielded him from a lot of stuff. But there was inherent racism and stuff going on all throughout the state and all throughout the region that he grew up in. So just to see the way that Colin has responded from high school, just kind of giving it his all, getting a college scholarship, defying the odds, playing in the NFL and having an extremely successful NFL career, and just to see that stripped away from him, I think people are going to walk away from this project with a lot better understanding of who he is as a man and what he stands for.
Man, Colin in Black and White comes out on Netflix Friday, October 29th. Check out the series and follow him on Twitter at King Josiah 54. This is my first time meeting Josiah VRL, virtual, real life, and
is that
I'm telling you,
I didn't even know that. Okay,
I just kind of made it up right now, but I'm telling you, you're as funny in real life as you are online, and that's rare. So thank you for joining us on Takeline.
I appreciate y'all. I like to say I'm very consistent. So if you see me on Twitter, see me in the real world, it's going to be, some people don't live their tweets. They don't really, you see them in the real world like, oh, this dude's a weirdo or whatever. Like, I'm not really rolling. But no, I'm a normal, consistent dude. Appreciate y'all for having me and best of luck with everything.